All right, man, we're on. So this is our second Collective Unintelligence video, and I think we got a few fun things to talk about. So how you been?
Been good. Been busy, but good. Probably not as busy as you with drilling over this weekend, but yeah, been pretty busy.
Yeah. Oh, before we get to that, I got to do something because that whole Chewbacca mom thing took off like wildfire. I stopped by a magic store.
Nice.
Now I gotta wig out and like make it all viral and stuff, right? Anyway, okay, enough of that.
And that could be our gimmick. We'll just each get a pair of noses and glasses there, and wear our gaucho marks to our video chats from now on.
Didn't recognize this though. What fun would that be, right?
It was adorable. It was really funny, adorable to see her and take off like that. It's pretty cool, especially for mom and everything, and Chewbacca of all things.
Oh yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, there's so much negativity out there, social media, where all this just horrible stuff is trending, and I don't want to hear all that. So I like that someone can just be silly and have fun and have everybody go nuts over
it. Take off like crazy.
Yeah. My mom said she was sick of seeing it today on Facebook, and I said, but it's only been out like 2 days. That's just record views on Facebook. That's what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
So I did want to show a couple of comics, and I got a really good beer I thought I'd show you. But yeah, speaking of drill, I did go to drill this weekend. You did a 5K, right?
I did. I ran a 5K. I made a whole weekend of it in Albuquerque. Caught a minor league baseball team, the Isotopes, down in Albuquerque, and watched them lose, unfortunately. And then the next day there was a 5K signed up. My company, well, they call it like a community volunteer thing. So if you go and enough people run it, they consider it a volunteer event, and they'll pay for your admission pretty much to register for the race. So you get to race for free, and it raises money. This one was for I forget, it was Catch Me If You Can 5K. You get to run with your kid if you wanted to. So it's kind of like a father daughter, father son, mother daughter thing. And so I got to run that. I met a whole bunch of people I work in Farmington at the power plant. The P&M Resources, their main office is in Albuquerque. So I met a whole bunch of people from Albuquerque. Ran horribly, but I did run. So I consider it maybe a kickstart to getting myself running again and getting back into whatever shape I would consider myself in for a person my age who likes to drink beer and eat. So
yeah, look at all the 5Ks in your area and get a calendar going.
Yeah. So it just so happens there's a whole bunch that they run in Albuquerque, and there's one coming up June 11th here in Farmington. So I put it in, requested that they cover the cost for people's admissions and tickets, and sure enough, P&M approved it. So now I just gotta promote it through my work and emails, and there'll be a 5K for this one is for suicide prevention. So really good cause. Me and you actually talked about that our last chat. The suicide prevention and the National Suicide Hotline and everything else, and I thought it was a weird coincidence, but sure enough, I looked and sweet, and it's here, so I don't have to drive. It's a 3-hour drive from here to Albuquerque, so that was so you have to make a weekend of it in Albuquerque if you want to, unless you want to drive there and back all in a day. So I'm glad it's close. I'll run it, and hopefully a whole bunch of people from work will participate. So it should be a lot of fun. And
That's
it's a worthy cause.
Yeah, sounds like some good runs for good causes.
Oh, heck yes. And of course, this all leads to, if you guys didn't know, and this will kind of put you guys into what mindset I'm in. I'm running a half marathon in August in Colorado. So hopefully this will get me in good enough shape to run 13.8 1 miles, which is just horrible. I hate running. In the military, that's all I did. We ran, our PRTs, our fitness evaluations. You had to run a mile and a half. I just hated it. Everyone said I had a particular trot that I'm built for comfort, not for speed. So I had this really good energy saving trot that always got me right to the minimum time I needed. And all the youngsters would be like, "Man, you run just like, hey, look, I don't expend energy. I got to run it in this time. I'm gonna make it in this time, and that's it. I'm not gonna put any further thought into running." But I always did better on the push-ups and sit-ups. Did you guys have to do the same thing?
Yeah, man, I'm the same way. I mean, Army does 2 miles. I always figured if I've got to run my butt off for 2 miles, I've already lost. But yeah, I'm kind of built like a dwarf, like all short and stocky. So I mean, I'm really the running type, but I always would get 100% on the push-ups. Like I don't know, 80% or something on the sit-ups, pretty good every time, and then barely making the run, barely.
That sounds exactly that. That was my strategy every single time. I just, I'm just like you. Low center of gravity, and chug along like a train. It takes me a while to take off, but once I find my optimum speed, that's the speed I'm going until I have to stop, and that's it. And,
yeah, I can kind of trot along all day. Yeah, ask me to get a good speed out of it. Yeah, and I would clown the other troops in our morning formation runs when you go for a long distance, and the other NCOs would motivate them and say, "Come on, you're doing great," or whatever. And I'd get to the turnaround point, and I'd look back and say, "You know what we just did? We got to do it all over again." I figured might as well have fun with it. Yeah, I never liked running, but we'd always have to do runs, push-ups, sit-ups. I love pull-ups, man, but I don't do pull-ups in the Army. But yeah, maybe someday when eventually people can get good enough to do pull-ups, then they'll implement it.
Yeah.
So here's that beer I wanted to show you, man. It's good beer. It's called Tank 7 Farmhouse Ale. And I didn't mean to do a promotional, segue. I guess I should have, but yeah, it's pretty good stuff. It's Saison, I think is how you pronounce it, but it's this kind of weird, I don't know, like a fermented taste to it. I don't know. I'm not too keen on the beer jargon, but something strange about it. Every time you take a drink and set it down, bubbles up and almost fizzes out the top. So something. Other than that, I'm just not too hard with climbing down the beer. Yeah, so I did drill this weekend and fired my 9mm. Well, not my 9mm, but a 9mm. It was fun. But that's my drill weekend. That's what 1 week in a month I kind of, scurry off to the woods or help service a Humvee or something.
Nice.
Army, yeah. Still doing that. I figured I'd, keep it going part-time. Still enjoyed it. So it's not so much the Army life anymore now. It's just kind of like a Army part-time gig. So, let me bring up a couple comics. I actually got these before. I didn't get a chance to go check out any comics today, but I did see a place I want to swing by tomorrow.
Yeah,
I want to show you.
That's good that you picked up some stuff right now. The big event, if you didn't know, is the whole DC Rebirth event going on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I read about that today on Nerdist.
Yes, they're talking, kind of going back to almost the way the characters were. It's always something that kind of resets everything in the comic books, right? Whether it's Crisis or some big mutant massacre, or just something that happens that just resets everything, and they seem to happen every couple of years. But this one, they're really kind of fostering the image that they're going to go back to, really getting back into the writing and the heart of what DC was, and the heart of the characters of what they used to originally be like.
Yeah.
So the premise sounds great. I'm getting a few issues. I don't have a local comic book store, if you guys didn't know. Shame on me. When I first moved out here, there were at least 2 or 3 here in Farmington, but you know, as I don't know if it happened while I was moving out here, but as soon as I got out here, I figured out that those were all closed. The only thing open that even sells comic books is Hastings, you know, and so you only get so many there. So I usually have to subscribe for them or head out to Albuquerque to get them. So I'll be getting some too. But if you're gonna get some tomorrow, Travis, maybe think about picking up. You know, the way it works is always like one main issue that covers the main title, and then all the other main characters have their own issues that also coincide with the whole Rebirth. So you can pick up Rebirth, and it has like a general outline of what's going on. And if you wanted to really expand on your favorite character, you would get Rebirth Batman #1, and it's all the big shots. You know, Batman, Aquaman, Superman, they're all getting a Rebirth subset to that, and then so you can just start from that one title, the Rebirth, and then pick up your favorite character and see what they're going to do with their characters. You know, one day we'll do a tour, Travis, of my room. But you know, I've got the real popular right now are the Funko Pops. I got a whole wall of these, and Star Wars action figures. They're not dolls; they're action figures. Legos, Shogun Warriors, Star Wars comic books, and of course, you know, reference materials on drawing, art, and I mean, I got more art supplies. You know, if the zombie apocalypse were to come, I'd be able to a book, and me and you can still do that after all that. You know, so never fear.
I've got a starting collection of some Ant-Man stuff that my wife's been getting me for birthdays and Christmas and such. So I've got my own little thing going on. She got me a really cool one of Ant-Man, microscopic size flying on an ant. And then she got me one, it's like a Marvel Legends, really nice one. And then I got a Funko one that she got me. Man, there's so many of those pop characters. So many of them. Yeah. I'm just waiting for me to be in one of them. That way I know I made it, because it's like everybody's got a, if you're John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, you got a pop character. If you're
you have one. Yeah, there's many, and they just keep picking up more and more licenses to be able to do them. It's
awesome. They're doing a great job with that. So we're gonna have to figure out what we can tap into and get a pop character. Then we need right?
Hey! If you guys, if Funko Pop's out there, you guys should definitely look into putting out military figures, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers. You guys, that I'm sure people will pick those up. The big thing was when I made Chief. When I made Chief, that you can actually get U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer G.I. Joe, like the big 12-inch G.I. Joe.
Nice.
And it came with the anchors and his uniform and all that other stuff. And we got it free for being promoted, but they ended up selling it as an action figure, really. So I was like, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, cool. Sweet, I'm an action figure. Yeah, they didn't have the Hispanic one at the time, but it was still pretty cool.
Yeah, they have to figure out some kind of theme for it, though, right? Because they all have themes, so they'd have to figure out, like, maybe they could have an LT looking lost, and it could be like the quotation can't spell lost without.
So true. They
could have like a warrant officer one, but like there's not actually anything on the base. It's just like, where is the warrant officer? We don't know, because he's always off something. They have to figure out like how they could, or maybe like a private, but he's got his head up his own ass or something. I might stop now. I don't know. So
you guys know what we're talking about. You guys know what we're talking about out there.
Yeah, we were all E1s at one point. Yeah, there's E1s in every branch. So the other one I want to show you, this one's pretty cool. I think I mentioned to you before. This is that one where it's like the U.S. Versus Canada, and I don't think I got to show you before, but it's got some cool stuff going on. So I want to get into this one in a bit. I hadn't really gotten a chance to stop with Drill Weekend. I wanted to take them out and read them, but then I'm not there to read comic books, so I don't do it. 9mm stuff. But yeah, I want to read those later this week. They're all pretty good stuff.
Nice. Yeah. The one thing I wanted to talk about was I don't know if you know, Travis, but the big thing seems to be these subscription services they have now.
Yeah, I want to bring it up. The Comixology, is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah. What a great lead-in. So Comixology to a monthly subscription service, just like Netflix, where you can get unlimited comic books for a monthly fee, and
it's digital, so you don't get more stuff.
Yeah, which isn't new, but the fact that Comixology is such a big, comic source is pretty big deal. But I don't know if you heard of like Loot Crate or Nerd Crate. They have all these box services. So I'm wearing an actual Loot Crate, and this is a Warcraft from the movie coming out here soon. T-shirt I got, and right now the big thing is if you subscribe in the box, you always get a T-shirt. One guaranteed thing is going to be a T-shirt. I also got this cool Hulk Q-Fig figure.
Nice.
And then probably the coolest thing, which is awesome for the summer, is this Infinity Gauntlet kind of a oven mitt, which I'll use constantly for barbecuing and smoking meats and stuff. I just thought this was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And then a Dragon Ball Z, kind of like this is for your book bag to hook onto your book bag, but it's a dragon wrapped around one of the Dragon Balls. And then you get the comic book that usually comes in there explaining what. So the theme this time was power, and the comic book just kind of basically explains what the loot is inside the box, and then they interview people based on what they did. So they actually interviewed one of the characters from the Warcraft movie. This Robert Kaczynski, who's actually pretty damn cool. If you saw Pacific Rim, he was the Australian, the son. Riley. That guy, the real attitude, the guy with the bad attitude and stuff. That it's him. Apparently, he's a huge Warcraft fan. He's been playing Warcraft forever, and he just happened to be on set during one of the breaks of Pacific Rim, started playing Warcraft, and one of the other people there were like, "Hey, we're making a Warcraft movie, right?" He's like, "Are you serious?" So he auditioned, and he got a part in the Warcraft movie, which is absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, and just recently saw him in Face Off, and because they had a Warcraft. A special Warcraft makeup day, and he happened to be there he was one of the guest judges, and so he definitely is one of the leading experts in Warcraft. He's been playing forever, and just to see him, I thought that was pretty cool. And of course, it all comes in your neat Loot Crate box. It's monthly. So when I get it, they usually send out a tracking number. I don't even wait. I don't even want to look at it because I just want to get surprised when I open my front door and see this sitting there.
Maybe tell me. You were right. Do they have magazines with the interviews every month?
Yeah. So every month there's some new interview with something based on whatever is going on. This one I just thought was really
love reading interviews.
Yeah. So, if you guys are interested, I'm not here to obviously push Loot Crate. There's so many out right now. Nerd Crate and Marvel subscription. Their Marvel Superheroes one. And I'm sure you can pick it. And as a matter of fact, there's monthly. There's a monthly survivalist one that you can get.
I saw it when I want that one.
Yeah, you can get survival stuff. There's a cigar, pipe, beer. If it's something you want to do, arts and craft, if there's something you want to do, there's some subscription service where you can get monthly little, boxes of surprise stuff, magic markers, just anything.
Dollar Shave Club, hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dollar Shave because I just did drill, and all my Dollar Shave Club razors are home.
I'm sure Travis would agree with me. First thing I pretty much did as soon as I got out of the military was stop shaving. I just was like, the freedom of not having to shave and be squared away. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I definitely saw the purpose behind it, but not being able to shave whenever I want is kind of a nice thing. So I got the long beard going on right now, and we'll see, when I have to shave it or when I want to shave it.
On a couple of occasions, and I love it. I'm really tempted to get Loot Crate, man. Collecting stuff is like snacking to me. I love to just sit and snack, but I end up just feeling horrible later, so I keep myself from snacking. But I think I might have a valid reason for getting Loot Crate if I convince the wife that my son and I will share this stuff, right?
Yeah.
She'd totally be. Wait, hold on. Show it again.
So this was a Batman exclusive Loot Crate figure that came in.
Nice.
It's all. I mean, and those pops. Sometimes you get exclusive pops. Those Funko Pops. I can't reach it right now, but I got, the Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, a glow in the dark Groot baby pop, a Batman. Well, it was a Batman Joker edition, so his costume was green and he was painted all pale, and so he looked like a Joker Batman.
That's cool
combination. And I mean, that's such a cool figure. It was ridiculous. And then, a couple months ago, Han Solo in his snow gear, from the Star Wars Force Awakens movie.
Han Solo. Oh, excuse me. That's a good pun.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the movie, you're horrible. Go watch it.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. Hey, speaking of that cool Batman joke, have you ever heard of the Wolverine Batman? I really want to find out if there's like an old comic that's attainable or digital version. But it's from some Amalgam series.
Yes, so
Dark Claw.
So it's Dark Claw, and it was an amalgamation of DC and Marvel. Which if you guys don't know, to amalgamate is putting two different types of metals together to form one. So that was their big amalgam, headline they used for the DC and Marvel. And one of them was Dark Claw, Batman and Wolverine mixed together. And actually, if you were to look through my Twitter feed, you'll find a picture I did because we were doing some, we were actually doing 10-minute sketches of characters from Marvel Amalgam, and I did a Dark Claw. And it was really cool. It's a picture, Batman with claws and his feral looking costume and stuff.
But they should do that again because I just think the idea of it's cool. I like when there's new concepts thrown around, even if it's just for a little pretend, series. It's nothing in continuity.
Yeah, and it was good, and it was sad to see it end. Like, oh wow, DC and Marvel got together for something, and man, it's actually pretty cool and awesome, and they're not gonna ever do it again. It's like, oh well, it was kind of depressing at the time. You're like, oh, all right, and you run out and try to pick up as many of those issues as you can, and like, oh, I'm getting all the back issues.
Yeah,
but I know they have it in a graphic novel format, so
okay.
Pick it up. You guys out there,
graphic novel, or maybe it's on digital.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's probably on digital. But, here's your chance to go ahead and subscribe on Comixology if you want.
Yeah, because like I said, if I had it my way, I'd be one of those guys in the comic shop just collecting up comics all the time. But I think for me to keep, the front room of our house, as nice as my wife has looked, I think I'll get Comixology and keep digital.
Oh.
For now, she's gonna see if you sneak it in the bookshelf.
So much easier to have them. I mean, I hate to admit it, I'm the material guy who likes to feel those comic books and flip through, but just the convenience of having them all on a tablet or whatever, Kindle or whatever you have, it's just so nice, and just easy to collect that way. If you just use it to collect the digital media.
And I'm not saying I don't like the physical form, because like you're saying, it's cool too. I think what I'd like to do is have the individual issues digitally, and then once I get a graphic novel I like, then I'd like to buy the physical graphic novel, because yeah, there is something about having that physical book. But back to the whole amalgam thing, I just thought of a really cool one that they could do. Superman's other flaw or other weakness, right, is that he's vulnerable to magic. How cool would that be? Not to so much combine the two characters, but to see a fight between Superman and Doctor Strange. I don't even know if that's possible. I don't ever really look too much into Doctor Strange, but I think Doctor Strange would win, right?
Yeah, yes. Yes, he would win, but I'd have to look back now because I don't know if that's one of his weaknesses anymore. Superman's just changed so much, through the years that I could not honestly tell you if he, because I remember that being a thing where, he was fighting these sorcerers and stuff, and magic artifacts would make him bleed and all this stuff, and I think they did that. My whole feeling behind Superman is they created this guy that is just so powerful, and then only had at the time no weaknesses, and then he's weak to kryptonite, that his weakness is kryptonite, this part of his planet that just happened to so many small particles of it landed on Earth or were found in space by someone, and then it just what do you do with it? How do you develop a character like that is just so strong, invulnerable, can fly, X-ray vision, super breath, super speed? Like, man, who can beat this guy? Yeah, they came up with Doomsday to finally kind of put him on some equal terms with some being, but even then he still survived that and managed to come back and kick Doomsday's butt. So
here's my question to you, because I don't know too much about him, but he's got his power from the sun, right? I mean, he's basically like a solar-powered superhero from the yellow sun, right? I mean, that's Krypton had a red sun, and didn't his parents send him to Earth intentionally because of the yellow sun?
So initially he just got sent to Earth because it was Earth, similar in some aspects to the way he was.
The original reason why he just got sent there.
Right, he just got sent there, and then they're like, oh, the sun, the yellow sun's going to give you these special powers, and hopefully you'll be able to use them for good. And then that was like this whole different aspect that these different suns would affect them differently. So I can't remember, but he was under a red sun that messed him up, and then all these different color suns would mess him up.
That's what I was going
like
to say. There's never been any other suns, because I think it'd be cool to see if they're going to add that as like a scope of depth of some sort of how they can influence the stories, and if he's ever been to other planets or other suns and it's done other things to him.
Yeah, and that's the point. That's why you see so many stuff, and I can't tell what he's weak, what his weakness is anymore, what his strengths are anymore, because as they figured it out, years and years, like, hey, what do we do with the most powerful being, superhero on the planet? We got to figure something out. So, the suns and magic and clones and when he was the red and blue Superman with different powers and his personality split when on Death of the Superman, when all these other Supermen, were out, Superboy, the clone of Superman, and just so much stuff, and that's why I kind of just don't like him as much as a lot of other superheroes.
Well, and then there's the time that he had to defend Terry Hatcher, and then she had to go into hiding in that one neighborhood with all the other housewives because they couldn't figure out where she was, or then they'd have that on Superman, right? Isn't that what happened? No, I'm just joking.
Terry, I remember that one.
It was fun, right? That was a 90s show for you.
That was a great show. Lois and Clark, right?
Yeah, Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, you think about how many TV shows he's been in, and Smallville, and they have a Krypton TV show coming out soon.
Oh, do they?
So I don't know if it's based on the planet. I think it's based on the planet before it exploded. So it'll kind of go over his dad's, the whole scientist thing and the planet being doomed. I don't know, but it definitely is in the making. I think CW is going to have it and stuff, and
they can make the Flash run backward in time so fast before Krypton blew up and save his family and get rid of Zod and mess it up.
Best scene in Superman was that when he did that reverse the planet thing to save Lois Lane.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was just awesome. Just to see him do that.
That's where the whole term WTF came from, I think, actually. Yeah. So let's wrap this up, man. I want to see what are you doing this weekend for Memorial Day weekend? You got anything going on?
Actually, yeah. We up in Durango, they have one of these. It's the Bar D. It's like one of those Western things. I don't know if you are familiar with them. They serve. It's like old Western. You all sit kind of like underneath like this big tent kind of, and they feed you like beans and meat, and then they have like a group of guys come out and sing. I forgot what they call it, a Western hoedown or whatever. But cool. The Bar D is one of the nicer ones in Durango. And so I'm going with my girlfriend's parents, actually. We're all going up there together to do that. I'm trying to figure out maybe on Saturday, go up a day early, go camping, and then hang out until Sunday's the Bar D. It's the opening night and then Memorial Day. And then I'm going to come back Monday and smoke a brisket. and so I'll be outside all day drinking whiskey and smoking a brisket. And
nice.
So the girlfriend will be at work. So when she comes back, she'll have a delicious meal waiting for her. Hopefully, hopefully it'll be done. It takes a long time.
You get too much whiskey and she'll have a doorstop waiting for her.
And yeah, I love smoking meats, but it just takes so long. You got to keep that temperature. And I have, what they call it, like one of those little garbage can smokers. Small. Cylinder with the round top on it. It's not like the fancy ones you see on a lot of TV shows and stuff, but it gets the job done, man. And the meat comes out so good and so tasty.
Pay attention to it, from what I've heard. I mean, I've never really gotten into the smoking of meats too much, but from what I've heard,
that might be a bad influence on you, Travis. All these things and comic books.
Actually, I went to a class with this barbecue joint in Austin. Really good barbecue. It's called Style Switch Barbecue. And they had a day-long class where they taught us all about how they smoked their meats. We were there 5 in the morning, I think, something before the sun came up, and they already had meat going, brisket, on the smokers, and they showed us at different intervals. And then they had chicken and they had sausage. They had all these different things cooking throughout the day, telling us all about how it's done. And yeah, they had these smokers with the wood on the side, bringing the heat in. They're constantly rotating around. So they had their own method, but they were talking about how if you have, some small smoker, they've had people make really good brisket out of them. Just takes, the attention like you're talking about.
Yeah, I did a tri-tip and a brisket. It did come out just so good. The whole smoke ring thing and it smelled great, and it was so tender and delicious. And I'll do the same thing. I'll put a couple of sausages on there on the top of it to cook with it and stuff. But it's a lot of fun.
Nice. It'll be worth it.
Yeah, by myself, I know I won't get hammered, so I'm kind of glad that I will be just kind of by myself with my dog. But I'm sure if it's a whole bunch of guys like us all hanging out, that we probably not.
We'd probably convince each other that it tastes better soaked in beer, and then we talk about it.
A couple more hours, hun. Just a couple more hours, it'll be done.
Yeah.